I think people are becoming far more aware of what they're putting on the table every night. They want to know where it's come from, they want to know how it's been raised, they want to know about the people that have been doing it. Both Tim and I are very passionate about telling the story of the producers that we're using, because they've all got great stories, they all do a fantastic job with their stock, and we want to let people in the city know exactly what goes into producing the food that they're buying from our shop.
Well, we're based on an Angus herd that we've developed here over the last half dozen years or so. We've gone to develop an animal that will perform well on grass in this area. So it tends to be a smaller framed animal, and we're saving our own breeders and gradually developing that as it goes on. We use the cattle very much as a tool to develop our grasslands on the farm. Our greatest love is the health of the land. For us, that's the bottom line. And it's really been a process of developing cattle in a way that complements that. I grew up through the 70s and early 80s with the drought periods there and the dust storms. And I always thought that the issue was the livestock, that the livestock degraded the land. But it wasn't until in the 90s I came across some wonderful information from various people, Alan Savory particularly, that indicated that the problem wasn't the animals, it was the way we were managing them. Ours were 100% grass-fed, they weren't grain-fed at any point, and we don't feed hay. So they're all just produced off the grass on the place. He knew that we didn't give them any drenches or antibiotics or anything like that, that they were really just a full grass product. We're just looking for how well they're covered, so what their fat cover is around the rump, and how thick they are through the shoulders, and just generally assess how they're going really, because we're looking at them on a fortnightly basis. And it's also an assessment of how well the feed we've been putting them on has contributed, whether they need to go on to slightly better feed or we need to just give them a little bit more, or whether it's just perfectly adequate. We use low-stress stock handling techniques, which basically involve working with the instinct of the animal as a herding animal. You put yourself in a situation where the animal is not feeling threatened by your presence, because you're really a predator. So it's working with those instincts of the animals to move them in such a way that gets them where you want them to go, but not stressing them too much. There's a reasonable amount of grass-fed beef around in Australia particularly, but we knew that the pastured pork was just such a superior product that it would be our spearhead product, if you like. And again, our focus was on running them in a way that was positive for the land and for the pigs. And they've turned out to be a fantastic product and have been very well received. And it's been a learning experience for us to work out the management techniques that produces great pork and is great for pig welfare. And we knew with producing pigs in this way, there's no way we could compete against the intensive piggeries, because they're purely based on cost per unit, and there was so much lower. So ours was a premium product and we had to market it ourselves. A percentage of the market is educated, but people are really looking for authenticity. So there's a veil between people and where their food's grown. And I think there's an increasing interest in it, which sort of people respond to with what we're doing. When we hold open days here, people love to actually come out and be able to get amongst it themselves and see that it's not hype, that the story's for real, and they can wander around amongst the pigs and cattle and see that what we say is what we do, and giving them the opportunity to be aware of just how their food's produced, what impacts it has on the land and the people that produce it, and why supporting people like that is important. And taking an interest in how your food's produced.